Speaking of things that are difficult to ignore, it's also whenever companies create a form of competition. And definitely competition is going to have to be kicked up a notch and be even starkier than before, considering the stuff with the tariffs. Because people are going to be much more pick and choosy about what their products, the products they're going to want to get, and who they're going to want to be purchasing from. So the quality needs to escalate. And a company by the name of LPZZ is kind of going out there to say we have something to say as far as quality figures in the 1/12 scale, I believe. They're kind of aiming for the 1/12 scale. And even though they've been around for a little while, they're trying to make a name for themselves as far as quality of the plastic, realism, accuracy, and even a bit of articulation. A few days ago, this popped up on Reddit. And it's actually not a few days, 2 weeks ago, this video, if I can make it a little bit bigger. Yes, please. Thank you. And it's basically a video of someone messing with a unpainted prototype of the Arkham Knight Batman from LPZZ and then testing out the articulation. I was kind of doing it in the same style that I do whenever I'd make my videos, as far as moving the legs. And you can see that those legs are going very far up. That is insane. And then bending of the knees, a little bit of gappage happening around the hip joint, but what is most impressive would have to be those shoulder joints, along with the armor plates that are kind of moving by the bicep on a hinge, very similar to what I covered recently for the InArt 1/12 scale Dark Knight Rises Batman. And so far from what we're seeing here in the articulation department, this Arkham Knight Batman, especially with that smooth butterfly joint that's kind of pulling out and inwards like that, it's looking pretty nice. And it only made me more hyped for their upcoming releases, specifically of this Arkham Knight Batman. I have no idea why he felt compelled to put him in that gorilla pose there at the end like this. What the hell, man? Only to then get a little deflated just a few days later at a recent some kind of like expo. Like, I don't know what expo this is. I want to say it's someplace in China. Topical right now. Where they showed off a fully painted prototype of the Arkham Knight Batman figure from LPZZ, sporting what is typically dubbed the V8.04 suit, aka the armored mainline Arkham Knight suit, the one with all the panels and the motorized pieces, etc. His main suit from that game. And we got a little bit of a top-down view with all the accessories, the alternate heads, unmasked cowl right there, the gadgetry, etc., the typical stuff that it comes with. And we've seen photos of the LPZZ Arkham Knight coming up before. Even more so when I actually put down a pre-order myself for about $5 on, I think it's Bumblebee. I think I put down a pre-order with Bumblebee over the folks over there in hopes of getting one hopefully sometime halfway through the year. I think it's scheduled for Q2, the end of Q2 of 2025. But of course, knock on wood, whatever this desk is made out of, because I think it's like faux wood or something, since now it's hard to tell when certain things are going to be coming out or if they're even going to come out. And if they do, will there be an extra charge to be lumped in with all this current commotion happening with the tariffs? Even more so now, I'm looking at this figure with a slightly raised eyebrow after more photos of not just these other figures, but specifically the Arkham Knight Batman came out. They're a little tighter on the details of the suit. And the suit itself, not too bad. It's looking a teensy bit clumpy. Not as refined as those preliminary prototype shots, but still not too bad. We can still work with it. Cowl doesn't look too bad. And it's finally in this shot where I was like, uh-oh. Something funny about that head sculpt. It's looking a little too smooth, a little lower quality, but maybe it's just the way that the shot was taken. And then finally, as I hit next, I was like, oh no. Ooh. Ooh. Did they downgrade the head sculpts? Both the masked and unmasked version? Because, I don't know what that is. I distinctly don't remember his head sculpt being that smooth and curved out. And frankly, I consider this a bit of a downgrade, especially as we inch closer and closer to mass production. And if this is what's going to be mass produced, yeah, I don't know about that one. And to fully compare and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, there's the new LPZZ head, right? There it is. Here's the original prototype. Look at this. This right here. This right here. Number 1. Number 2. Number 1. Number 2. So, yeah. I'm a little disappointed. And I'm trying to, like, you know, look at the bigger picture, knowing that they got some more stuff coming out, such as the Arkham Knight himself. You can see right here, they got an Arkham Knight unpainted prototype, and he's also going to have an unmasked head sculpt. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but knowing that they're going to be smoothing things out, and then also that Deathstroke, which we also did kind of see some images of, and that one's pretty, I don't want to say easy to do, but it's a little easier or harder to mess up because of how much of the paneling. So as long as you get the textures right, you can really nail this one. And I'm also looking forward to this one. The LPZZ Deathstroke, which I believe is also technically from Arkham Knight, because it is he was in Arkham Knight as a side mission, not as the main antagonist. That's preferably from Arkham Origins. But yeah, that downgrade, it's just difficult to not pay attention to that. I do like the styling of the cape, but I just kind of wish that we could have kept that original head, because to me, it's just not vibing with me as well as I was expecting it to be. Because I was hoping for the much more chiseled, stylized look, because it just looked cooler. It just looked cooler, meaner. Then we have our prototype right here. So I'm believing that we're probably going to be getting these two first, and then Arkham Knight, obviously, judging by the progress that they've been making. But next to that, they also revealed that they're going to be, I'm guessing this is arguably the easiest license to acquire, is the Dark Knight's Metal series, because almost every company somehow needs to make figures on Dark Knight's Metal. Obviously, with McFarlane, I think a couple of statues from like 3.0 or Prime Studio, or Prime 1 Studio, etc. InArt has shown some preliminary photos, both at the San Diego Comic-Con event that I went to last year, as well as some other events that have been happening in China. They've been showcasing some of their 112 scale Morphig / Stone Row / InArt 112 figures, of which we have our first entry in the Dark Knight Rises Batman figure from the Dark Knight Rises. And then following that up, it looks like they're also going to be tackling Dark Knight's Metal. They have their own Batman Who Laughs coming out, their own corrupted Green Lantern Batman, Red Death. I believe it's also a Devastator, where Batman turns into like a Doomsday-looking kind of creature. And now, entering that same competitive space, LPZZ is also making a Batman Who Laughs figure. You can see that right here. Fully articulated. So on one, he's reaching out in a walking stance. And then the other, he's going to have a nice looking little gargoyle statue, 3D printed statue right here as part of his base, along with chains and the sickle right there, or the axe, whatever you want to call it, the pickaxe. It looks like he's going to have two mouth plates, a regular smiling one and then the laughing one with the tongue out. They're going for like a textured, pleathery kind of look to the outfit. I doubt it's going to be actual leather. In fact, I'm kind of doubting that it's even going to be pleather. It's probably just going to be like a simulated texture on the surface of the plastic, but it's still going to be plastic underneath, you know? It's going to be like one of those possible mixed media situations. Here's an unpainted look at that Green Lantern, that corrupted Green Lantern Batman. I do like the sculpting of the textures, especially around the chest area, but I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to look like painted. He's also going to have a similar looking base with a little bit of that alien creature right here. And then there's that Red Death. Of course. The skulls right there. I'm telling you, it's little by little, it's looking like it's the cheapest license to do is Dark Knight's Metal because it keeps coming back. And I'm curious to see if I can maybe get access to these figures, not just for the in-art versions, but also maybe the LPZZ, to see exactly who's going to come out on top of already the McFarlane ones that McFarlane has generated as well. Because, like I said, this is just a giant amount of influx with these entries. Because I'm like, God damn, like how many are you guys going to make?